Everyone's two favorite words in sports. Game 7 tonight. Montreal and Buffalo. In Buffalo, they go head-to-head for a Game 7. Carmine and I are excited for obvious reasons. We're also excited because we get to have another Puck Time show. We did not want to go away, guys. We want to have more shows, more games, more action, and that's exactly what we will have here. We're going to break down what we've seen throughout this series so far. Games 1 to 6, what we've learned about these teams, what we've learned about the players. We'll dive into all the matchups, some sides, totals, some player prop stuff. We'll also take a look at some of the opening series numbers for the Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights all together. So look forward to a fantastic show, guys, and I'll tell you, it's been a hell of a run right now for me, and hopefully we can keep it going. The month of May has been great. Told you before we started the month on vacation, and, well, I already said I didn't really want to come home, Carm. Plus 46 units for me in May so far. It's only the 18th of the month. So, guys, we're on a good run, 13-3 NHL or hockey run, and 4-0 start to the World Hockey Championship. So, Carm, I did not expect to be making money betting Norwegian hockey teams this year, but I found myself doing that, man. Game 7, our favorite words in sports. How are you, Carm?
I'm good, man. And listen, the money spends the same way when you win. I remember during the pandemic where I was doing videos on soccer from Nicaragua. It was the only soccer league that was running at the time. So listen, I get it. Andrew, like, what's wrong with your team? It's Victoria Day here. I wanted the day off. I have like a ton of stuff planned, and now there's a Game 7. By the way, everyone's two favorite words isn't necessarily Game 7. You know, another beer. That's good. That's 2 words.
I like that one.
Everything is possible, but no. And truth be told, I said I had told you I won't be watching Game 6 because I was taking my wife out. We're gone for the weekend and for her birthday, celebrating it a week later. And we go to the keg and they seat us. And then she's seated right in front of me, and behind her, after a couple of other tables, there's a wall in the TV. And what's on the TV? The Montreal Canadiens. So I'm trying to look at her while also looking at the TV because now it's a distraction. And all I kept seeing is players hugging each other. A couple Sabres players. I'm like, oh, okay, Buffalo scored a minute in. And then Montreal scores. And it just kept going back and forth. It was absolutely crazy. The goaltending merry-go-round for the Buffalo Sabres, Andrew, I just don't get it. It's like Alex Lyon, Ukko Pekka-Luukkonen, Lyon, Ukko Pekka-Luukkonen again. But Lyon, 3 shots, 3 goals. I think he allowed against the Habs. They had to yank him at that point. But unbelievable comeback from the Buffalo Sabres. They looked like toast, and then they score 7 straight goals. I did not see that coming whatsoever. Figured the series was over on Sunday or on Saturday, so we get a Monday game. And we have a lot of Montreal fans in the chat, so that's good as well too for you, Andrew. But let's talk about this series.
Let's do it.
What is wrong with this Buffalo Sabres team? I get it. We talk about them being road warriors during the regular season, but they're 2-4 at home in the playoffs. 1 win against the Buffalo Sabres, 1 win against the Montreal Canadiens, and the one against the Boston Bruins. They had to come back from 3-1 down and win that game 4-3. So, and then they're 5-1 at home. It's just, 5-1 on the road. Now they're back home, and all I read on social media is, do not sell your tickets to Montreal fans. Do not sell your tickets to Montreal fans. Maybe you do sell your tickets to Montreal fans. You sing the national anthem in French, and you make the Sabres feel like they're on the road.
Yeah, it's very weird, Carm, because, Buffalo, they got the drum out. They're beating the drum. The fans are going crazy. At Montreal, they're walking out with the torch. It's a big, exciting thing. And both teams seem to come out flat when it comes to home. So, let's just completely take a look at what we've seen so far throughout this series. And we'll start with this. The first game belonged to the Buffalo Sabres, and it was a pretty solid victory for them, a 4-2 victory. A lot of people like that side for the Sabres due to the fact that the Canadiens were off that 7-game series. Game 7 win against Tampa. Montreal responded. They won 5-1 in game 2. So, as you mentioned, Carmen, it was a split in Buffalo, 1-1 at home for Buffalo there. Then you go to Montreal, and Montreal wins the first one 6-2. They get all momentum. They're feeling good about themselves. Buffalo follows that up with a 3-2 victory. But this is where the series gets interesting. The next 2 games after that, and I got to call myself out before we even get ahead of things here, Carm. On our Friday show, I did give us some player props, but I did think, man, maybe the first period over can hit, but wouldn't be shocked if the under hit. Well, 8-3, good luck to anybody that bet the under in that one. The next 2 games after that 3-2 victory for Buffalo, we're talking 9 goals and 11 goals, 8-3 and 6-3. We saw 6.5 as the total in the last game. And now for a game 7, we go from a 6.5 to a 5.5 as the total. And I feel like it's been a roller coaster of a ride for the top players on these teams. One game, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, Caulfield play well. The next game, Tage Thompson and Josh Doan and Zach Benson and these guys play well. Rasmus Dahlin had what? How many points? 4 or 5 points yesterday, Carm, or on Saturday? It's been a roller coaster ride of a series here. I have to ask you this. What do you make of what we've seen as far as these totals? And I know we have something to put on display here for the people in the chat to look at as this series has progressed. We've actually seen more action. And the funny thing is, as a Canadiens fan, in round 1, every game was close against Tampa. But in round 2 against Buffalo, one game has not really been indicative of what's going to happen the next. Buffalo wins 4-2 in game 1. Montreal responds. Montreal wins game 3, 6-2. Buffalo responds. What do you make of the total here in game 7? Because we have this great visual that you've created for us, and we see it drop to 5.5, and we know how important game 7s can be. Do you expect these players gripping the stick a little bit tighter and being a bit more nervous? Because we've seen a goal now in the first minute of the game in 3 straight games, Carm.
Yeah. No, listen, there was another series where I thought, I'm trying to remember which series it was. It might have been the Minnesota and a Colorado one where I thought, that this is going to be a low-scoring game. It could have been one of the Minnesota games, but they're going to be gripping that stick. It's going to be a tighter checking game. The neutral zone is going to be clogged up, and that game just blew well over the total. They just kept scoring goals, and so it makes it tough. It's hard to imagine, but books very rarely get it wrong, Andrew. It's hard to imagine that they set a total at 6.5, and a lot of it is reactionary to what happened in Game 5 in Buffalo, where the Habs were completely dominant in beating the Sabres 6-3. They set at 6.5, and they score 11 goals in the game. And you would think that at the very least, this game would be at a 6. Maybe not a 6.5 again, but a 6. But here it is. It is at 5.5. And I don't get it. If I was a book, I would be hanging up I'd likely hang a 6. And this is why I don't work for the books. And I'm not a trader, Andrew. But you look at these ones. Stat Daddy Ralph Michaels gave me these numbers, and we created a graphic with it. But you look at it here. Game 7s, the totals trend. 67 game 7s. 40 of them have gone under the total, 5 of them being pushes, where the total was likely either a 5 or a 6 in those cases. 22 have gone over the total. So under has hit 64% of the time, 64.5% of the time, When the total is 5.5, it is 17, 35, and 5, 67% to the under. And when the teams are, it's not a back-to-back, so it is at least a day's rest, which applies in this one, 71% to the over. To the under. Everything is pointing to the under in this one. And Andrew, let me tell you, I can't get there. I still can't get there, even though the numbers don't lie. Those are the numbers provided by Ralph Michaels, the pen, Stat Daddy. And I still can't get to the under in this game. It's just because I think I've had bad luck in the playoffs, and I'm having a very good playoff thus far this season. 29, 18, and 2. I'm up 30.5 units behind only the Prez right now, who's chugging along in first place in the playoffs. I'm second. And yet I have no confidence in this play, because I've played a couple of unders and they've completely blown up in the first period, or empty net goals that have killed me in the third period. So, with that said, how do you think this game plays out? Obviously, they're going to go back to Jakub Dobeš. There's no question. I get pulling him. The pulling him is a standard thing. You're going to come back with him in Game 7. There's no sense in leaving him in there where he could get injured. You yank him. You put in Fowler in there, and it's going to be Luukkonen for the Sabres. And Luukkonen was good the rest of the way. Didn't allow a goal after coming in for Alex Lyon. So from that point of view, Dobeš has had a phenomenal and the best goalie in the playoffs thus far. I can't name a better goalie in the playoffs thus far. And then you have Luukkonen, who had a very good game after getting pulled his previous time. So I get it. Two good goalies, if they replicate what they've done, Luukkonen in Game 6 and Dobeš the whole playoffs, then I could see this being a tight game. But it just seems like the Sabres get stretched in their own zone. Montreal moves that puck around in the O-zone so well that they get opportunities on goal. And as soon as they find a lane to shoot, they get it on net. So can the Sabres stop that? That is one of the keys to tonight's game, is not giving Montreal a ton of O-zone time and taking the game to Montreal. I don't know. This is the one time I would love to tell you guys, the under is the play, or I love the over, but I can't get to the window on either one of these. What about you?
Well, is it fair to say that if people like the under, there's a good chance they'll be able to get a better live number? Because as I mentioned, these, you could make the argument that you could expect these teams to be tentative, Carm, to be hesitant, to come out a little bit, cautious, all the synonyms we could use. But it's hard to make that case with what we've seen all throughout this series so far, if we're being honest. Minus 115 for the first period over is tempting. And then if that cashes for you, you could look towards an in-game under when it comes to this. Now, the weird thing for me is that, to your point, Dobeš has been great, but they have figured him out a little bit. And I think he did need the rest. The only concerning factor here for them when it comes to it, and you've got the odds here up on the screen, slight favorites here for the Sabres at home, and 5.5 to the under. All season long, it was Montembeault and then Dobeš. And then, Carm, when they made the decision, I remember you and I talking about it, they said, all right, enough is enough. Montembeault is done with us. Fowler came up, and, he was doing pretty well. But Dobeš never really played a lot of games. Like, for some reason, he had such a great record, and they weren't playing him enough. And so you wonder about his fatigue. But then as far as UPL is concerned, they already chased him out of the net in Game 5. And then Alex Lyon let in 3 straight goals on 3 straight shots. So they chased him out of the net. So UPL comes back. So the only thing is that the Canadiens can't really be scared of any of their goalies, because in their own way, they have taken down both of them in different games. But if you're the Sabres, you're thinking, okay, these last 2 games, we've been able to beat Dobeš a little bit here. So look, over 1.5 in the first period, I think is intriguing, Carm, because if it ain't broke, let's not try and fix it. And we're looking at pace. We're looking at early goals. We have a team coming off an embarrassing loss. I think back to, though, the Four Nations final and the Olympic gold final. What were the score of both of those games? 3-2. Overtime, 3-2. And a lot of big hockey games, they do stay low scoring. They do end up being 1-goal victories. And as somebody pointed out in our chat, they do go to overtime at some points. But Carm, based on what we've seen, and it very well could have that Game 7 vibe to it, 1-0 or 0-0 after one. But it's very hard for me not to look at the first period over based on the results we've seen recently.
Yeah, no, listen, I agree with you. And I think, one of the keys of when you're betting is if you're digging down deep and you're looking through pretty much everything to try and justify taking a side or a total. So in this case, let's say the under. If you're trying to justify over and over again, basically you're trying to convince yourself that the under is the play, don't play the game. Sometimes the best bet you make is the one that is the bet that you don't make, and passing on the total here. You know what I mean? Like everything points to the over to me. It has in these playoffs thus far, the Montreal Canadiens, you know what I mean? And this isn't me trying to set it up for or set you up, Andrew, to one of those I told you so. The Montreal Canadiens were going to win Game 7. No, the Montreal Canadiens have made the goalies in the playoffs thus far look ordinary. They did it to Vasilevsky. They did it to Lyon for the most part, and they did it to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. So it's a stretch. Trying to find, I get it, the stats support the under, but the way the series has gone, one game in the series has had fewer than 7 goals or fewer than 6 goals. 4 regular season meetings. I believe all 4 of them had at least 6 goals in them as well too. These teams just seem to maybe bring out the best in each other, and maybe the worst in the goaltending. It's I think picking the side is probably the better option here, because if you're looking for a correlation, I'm not sure if correlations really work in Game 7. You know what I mean? Saying that, obviously the goaltending for Montreal has been much better than Sabres. So Montreal in the under, and you would think the Sabres in the over. I'm not necessarily sure that correlation works here.
Maybe correlated with player props, right? Maybe correlated with certain players.
Yeah, like the getting pucks on net. If you told me on Friday that after Saturday's game, the Sabres would have almost double the shots on goal than the Montreal Canadiens did at the Forum in Montreal, where it was hopping, man. It was absolutely hopping. When they went up 3-1 in that game, it looked like they were toast. The Sabres were toast, but I didn't expect Montreal to put in that type of an effort. Maybe the Sabres played that much better than they have all season. It was probably their best game of the series. And I say that because they did it in the second period, Andrew, where the Sabres have been outplayed in the second period, it seems like, in every single game in the playoffs thus far. So, with that said, the Sabres had a very good second period. I'm going to look to, I'm going to be the homer in this one, but I'm putting bias aside. This is one of those ones where we know Marty St. Louis is going to have the Canadiens ready. They've been very good off a loss in the playoffs. And I talked on Friday about the fact that after their last 14 games, they were 7-7. They're a 500 team. Well, now after 16 games, they are 8-8. So basically, you can say they're a 500 team, but they're consistent. When they win, they will drop one. They lose. They win one. They're zigzagging. If you're following the zigzag with the Montreal Canadiens, then they're zagging tonight to a victory. But I think the Sabres get it done on home ice, despite the fact that they are 2-4 at home this season, Andrew. So I'm going to go a little different here. But to your player props, I think you're right. I think, and I'm going to guess that you're going to release some player props tonight, because I think this is probably a very good game for player props. You can find some value.
Yeah, I've got some I like. One of them is going to be a good play for me tonight at the website. I'll list off a couple guys. People like streaks. And if we're talking about the playoffs can be different, Carm, than the regular season, right? It's almost like a whole new season in its own. You get a chance to rewrite yourself, for what you can contribute to the team. So for those of you curious, for point-wise, point in 5 straight games in this series, Jake Evans plus 165. Of course, he was promoted to that second line as a centerman, plus 165 for a guy that has a point in 5 straight games. That's pretty tempting. Lane Hudson, assist in 5 straight games. That price is around minus 140, 145. Newhook with a point in 4 of his last 5 games in this series, plus 140. He's probably been the X factor for this Canadiens team. How about Josh Doan? I mean, if you think the Buffalo Sabres win, Josh Doan will get you a point. You can shop around, get the best price you possibly can. 4 of his last 5, he does have a point. Tage Thompson, hey, look, whether it's a fluky bounce, whether it's an assist, or whether it's, a nice, top shelf goal, he has found his offense a little bit lately. So he has looked pretty good. He is someone to look at. As far as the goals are concerned in this series, Tage Thompson plus 175 right now, goal in 3 of his last 5. Zach Benson, we talked a lot about him. He is plus 310 to get a goal tonight here, guys. Demidov now has a goal.
Sorry, who was that?
Benson plus 310.
Benson, okay.
Tonight. And Demidov has a goal in back-to-back games. Once a guy gets one, the floodgates open up because he had so many chances. He scored the game before. He scored the last game. You want to know what his odds are tonight, Carm? Plus 330. So if we think we're going to see any type of, wild scores again here tonight, we could be taking a look at some guys, like Jason Zucker at plus 500, Hellenius at plus 700. I mean, there's some pretty good opportunities here for some player props to look at. One thing, I love this comment from Seth, and I've heard Teddy Covers, have the ability to make the case for both teams, and I could certainly do that. And I'll tell you, one thing that I will say here, Seth puts up this comment. I want to hear Andrew make a case for Buffalo and Carm make the case for the Habs. And Carm already said some stuff about both the Habs and, Dobish and bouncing back. I will say this for Buffalo. They have gotten better as the series has progressed. And I think that one edge that they have, and as great of a coach as Marty St. Louis has been, Lindy Ruff has made all the right decisions. Adding guys into his lineup, removing guys from his lineup, shuffling around where they go. Tage Thompson is no longer a centerman right now, Carm. They have moved Tage Thompson to the wing, removing defensive responsibilities and making him a winger. That has caused havoc for the Montreal Canadiens. The Montreal Canadiens in this series have not changed their lineup once as far as who is in the game. They've shuffled who plays, Carm, but they have not. Buffalo has changed in and out. This guy's playing tonight. That guy's playing tomorrow night. This guy's playing. So the fatigue factor could be there. And, one thing I will say as well, Seth, is that when it comes down to it, even though this Habs team has been a good bounce-back team, how much of a gut punch was that 8-3 loss? How much did that hurt them? We're going to find out, but we're going to see defensive game, higher scoring game. I'm not sure. I'll tell you what, Newhook point is going to be on my card here, guys. Newhook point for me. And you got to look at a Josh Doan point. I mean, that guy's been fantastic. And honestly, even Zach Benson sprinkling on a goal scoring prop there, you're getting plus 300 on something like that. It's just a fantastic price to look at there, Carm. So it's going to be one hell of a game. I still think that over 1.5 first period, minus 115.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird how low it is, but I wouldn't be shocked if both teams found the back of the net in the first period.
Yeah, that was my only play on Saturday's game for clients, was the first period over, and that cashed like 2 minutes into the game, it was a winner. So I was pretty happy about that, and then went back to enjoying my dinner. But with that said, yeah, the player props, I think, if you like the over, then you want to take some player props. Obviously, it's tough to hit goal scoring props at the best of times, but trying to hit them when you anticipate a lower scoring game or it's got a lower total makes it a little tougher. You know, the thing again, and I'm not making a case for Montreal. I think the thing the Sabres have to be leery of in this one is in the last couple of games, as you mentioned, Demidov has started to come alive. And when a guy starts to score, it takes on a life of its own sometimes. And Caulfield has started to play a little bit better outside of being 5-on-4 on the power play, 5-on-5. He's scored. So it's these guys are young. You know, they're the youngest team. We know Marty St. Louis is just going to say to them, guys, it's game 7. We've done it before. We've gone in here. We've won. We went into Tampa Bay and we beat them in game 7. We can do it again. So, you know, the one thing that bugs me, not about this game, is the fact that either of these two teams, Andrew, is going to play Carolina, who are a perfect, 8-0 in the playoffs and 12 days of rest. 12 days of rest for Carolina before they get to play another competitive game. It's insane. It's almost like leading the lamb to slaughter. You know, it's the what is going to happen, but who knows? Everyone wants to talk about the rest and rust thing. It starts in Carolina. Whoever wins this series, that first game might be a little iffy. We've seen teams off of game 7 wins be completely flat in the opening game of a new series. So we'll see what happens.
12 days, man. There. 12 days like that.
12 days is a lot. 12 days. Freddie Anderson has had 12 days off. He could have gone to Europe and played in the hockey championships for Denmark in goal. Who I think are currently at the end of the first period are tied, are scoreless with Canada, Andrew. Now let's talk about the series coming up, and that is this one here, Andrew. And then we can touch on the Sabres before we close it out again. This is the series price. The Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights minus 260 in this one for Colorado. Plus, if you're a Vegas fan, then you're getting 2-1 on your money, plus 210 on the Knights to win this series. Or if you want the handicap, if you think it's going to go 7 games and you like Vegas, you can take the plus 1.5 games at even money. If you think that Colorado wins this series in 6 games or less, then you can lay the minus 1.5 games and minus 120 instead of laying 260. Where would you go with this, Andrew?
Yeah, I don't usually bet the plus 1.5 with games as far as like actual game by game basis is concerned. But, it wouldn't shock me to see, this series go deep. It wouldn't shock me. So I right now with Arturi Lehkonen a little bit banged up, Nichushkin a little banged up, Cale Makar a little banged up, wouldn't shock me to see this series be tight. Here's the major question we have to ask ourselves. And we're going to do this without getting our pot shots in with Maple Leafs, all right? Because they're not even involved here. But fans have been going crazy because Mitch Marner has looked great this playoffs. But he hasn't had to face Swayman. He hasn't had to face Vasilevsky. He hasn't had to face Sergei Bobrovsky. He hasn't had to face Carey Price. He's faced the Anaheim Ducks and the Utah Mammoth. So when we look at strength of schedule, do you think that Vegas is better than Minnesota? Or is Utah better than Minnesota? Is Anaheim better than Minnesota? Probably not. And so that's what we ask ourselves. Colorado just beat Minnesota, who was a top 5 team in the league, 4-1 in a series. So the question I ask is Vegas coming into this one feeling good about themselves, but maybe they just beat teams that they already should beat. And that's what's keeping me off making any type of series wagers so far. So depending on the health of Colorado, when the announcement comes out, I think we could see Colorado have success early in this series. Can Vegas respond? Can they push it to a tight series? We'll find out. But what I do think is that after this series leaves Colorado, you could probably get a better bet in on Vegas after that. But Carm, what do you think? I've heard you say it before. I can hear your voice saying this right now. You can only play the teams that are in front of you, and I get it. But what do you think about those teams that Vegas played?
Yeah, they've probably had the second easiest schedule, and this is no disrespect to the Utah Mammoth, who had a fantastic season, and the Anaheim Ducks, who surprised many people by getting this that far. And first of all, making the playoffs. I didn't think they would make the playoffs at the beginning of the season. And then towards the end, I thought there was a very good chance they could miss it, as I did with Vegas, but they picked it up at the right time. I think that the team that's had the easiest go at in the NHL playoffs is the Carolina Hurricanes, having played the Ottawa Senators, who didn't offer a lot in the way of goal scoring in that one, and then the Philadelphia Flyers, who came off an emotional, beating their rivals, their Pennsylvania rivals, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they made work of them too. They did just enough. I think they had the easier schedule or opponents. I think Vegas are second in that one. Colorado. Colorado got Minnesota. Minnesota, if this was Minnesota versus Vegas, I would venture to guess that Minnesota with home ice, I believe that Minnesota would have home ice. I think for the conference finals, I think they rejig the seedings. So I would make Minnesota a slight favorite over Vegas to win the series. The thing is that Vegas it looks like they've gotten better as the playoffs have progressed. They're coming together at the right time. Are they good enough to beat Colorado? Who knows, Andrew? This is why they play the games. We get surprised by how these things work out. If there was a team, these teams are familiar with each other, very familiar with each other. So there's going to be no surprises in this series. Vegas has got to try and win one of the two games in this series, or it's done in 5 max. I don't see it going any more than 5 if Colorado gets out to a 2-game lead in this series. Does Vegas have a chance? Yeah, because they've got like 9 or 10 guys on their roster who are Stanley Cup champions, who have been there before. The thing about Marner's surrounded by a better core of players than he was in Toronto. So all the pressure isn't on Marner to be the number one guy there. They've got guys like Stone, and it'll be important for Stone to be back for this series. But Jack Eichel, there's plenty of players on Vegas who can make a difference in this series. It may come down to which goalie performs the best. Is it going to be, whether it's Wedgwood, Blackwood, or is it going to be Carter Hart? Goaltending, to me, the advantage lies with the Avalanche in this one. Ultimately, I think it's a series that doesn't go past 6 games. So I would lay the game and a half and the -120 as opposed to taking the -260 on the Avs. If they win the series, they're going to win it in 6 or less.
Well, like the thing for me that's weird, you bring up Blackwood. What are your thoughts on the fact that they've lost 1 game the whole playoffs? They've changed their goalie twice. What kind of standard are they setting? Like they're like, no. This is how much of a tight ship we're running. We've lost 1 game and we've changed our goaltender 2 times. Like, are you concerned at all about that? Like, these guys are both good. It's clear to me Wedgwood's the guy, isn't he? Or is it Blackwood? Who do you think's because in the series clinching win, they pulled Blackwood and then Wedgwood got them the victory. So it is kind of weird. They've only lost 1 game and they've swapped goalies the way they have.
Yeah, I think I have to believe. I think they go back to Wedgwood. I think he He's done enough that he deserves to be there in game one. And because it's game one, and again, you want to get off to a good series lead, because it's game one, you can go with Wedgwood because I think he deserves to be in there. And if you don't get the performance from him that you wish, then you go to Blackwood.
Yeah.
As opposed to the other way around. So you give the goalie who deserves to make that start the start. So
they're the type of team, Carm, that change goalies after a win. That's how serious this team is. They could win a game and still change goalies.
Yeah, no, this is
crazy.
The thing about having, yeah, but this is the thing about having two good goalies. You know, Carolina, we talked about Carolina all season long. Boucher and Freddie Anderson. We talked about the rotation with the Sabres, where it was Lindy Ruff basically every game. It was Luukkonen, and then he went to a Lion, and then Luukkonen and Lion. And every once in a while, they tossed in Colton Ellis as well too. So you know, and the thing with the Sabres was that regardless of who the starting goalie was, the other goalie wasn't the backup during the regular season. It was the third goalie. So that goalie got the complete night off. Didn't have to be in uniform, but was there as the emergency third goalie, I think, if needed. That's what carrying three goalies can do to you. The Vegas Golden Knights all season long, and even when they won their Stanley Cup, you look at it, or the last couple of years, they had a very good rotation of goalies. Whether you liked Aiden Hill, whether you liked who's the goalie again that's playing in Washington?
Logan Thompson.
Now? Logan Thompson. So they had a good rotation of goalies. It starts from the back out. I always say it's much like I equate to soccer. When looking at future bets, is give me the team that has a good back line and a good midfield, because it starts from the back out, and those are the teams I want to support and take future bets on. So with that said, Andrew, I think this series finishes. I think the Knights win one at least in this series. No disrespect to Knights fans. I'm sorry if you're in there. I know we have a lot of Knights fans in there. I just think that if the Knights were playing anybody else but Colorado, it would be a different series. I'm not saying they would win it, but it would be a different series. We'll see what the story is with Mark Stone, but the Avs just have so many tools. From day one of the NHL season, they have been the best team in the Western Conference, and they're the number one seed, and they're trying to, Andrew, remove that jinx of the President's Trophy winner winning the Stanley Cup. So we'll see. They got to get by this series. This one ends in 5 or 6 games, so I'm gonna take the -1.5 games, -120, and it's something I'm gonna release to clients as well too as a prop play. So there you have it as far as that one goes.
Like if Colorado can't lose the game that they were down 3-0 in, then how else are they going to lose? I mean, the only thing stopping them is the doctor's office. That's the only thing stopping them is injuries right now. But I will say this: Carter Hart has looked good, especially at home. So regardless of what happens the first 2 games at Ball Arena in Denver, curious to see what happens when we go to Vegas at T-Mobile Arena. Carm, that's pretty much it for the show here, but we've got a play of the day coming for you in 1 second. I'm just going to mention I got a 5% play locked and loaded. And guys, I've mentioned a few times, of course, already, but it's been a hell of a month of May. 46 units in the month of May, 9-1 all sports last 7 days. It only lasts one play the last 7 days. 13-3 hockey run, and we are on a 4-0 start to the World Hockey Championships. And if my play on Finland goes well right now, live on the show, 4-1, we're going to be 5-0 to start the World Hockey Championships. You guys get the rest of my NHL package. You get the World Hockey Championship plays for free. There's no point in getting this 5% NHL play. You can go ahead and go to my page and get the NHL and World Hockey Championship package. You'll get all of my world plays, all of my NHL plays for the rest of the playoffs. So Let's cash some tickets here, guys. 46 units in May, 9-1 last 7 days, 13-3, about to be a 14-3 hockey run with Finland cashing us a ticket. Let's get the job done. Everyone's favorite words besides another beer. Game 7 in the NHL tonight here, guys. WT.buzz/AM. This is a long-term, not a 3-day, 4-day streak. We're getting the job done. So join me, guys. And look, I'm not going to be upset if I see people joining me in the 5% play. I don't mind the sales, but guys, the best thing to do is get that combo pack. World Hockey Playoffs at my page, WT.buzz/AM. Over to you, Carm.
Awesome. I absolutely love it. Guys, a couple things. Andrew, one more note on the Colorado one. You know what? I'd like to see Colorado win the Stanley Cup this year. So when I was at last year, when I went down last year before the NFL playoff, before the NFL regular season started to sign up at Circa for the contests, I played a 4-team, one of those things you see on Instagram or on Twitter, the X, all the time, of these 4 different teams to win their conferences or the championships. So I played one for like $100 that pays like about 8 or 9K. And the first 2 NFL divisional winners came in. The next bet was Colorado Avalanche to win the Stanley Cup. And then the final bet on that one is Brazil to win the World Cup this year in North America. So if Colorado wins, I have I won't call it a hedgeable ticket, but I have a ticket where 3 of the 4 have come in, and the worst it's going to do is cost me, I think it was like $100. But I have 8K riding on Brazil to win the World Cup. So we shall see what happens in that one. But one play up for me this afternoon in soccer. It is the final week of the European domestic league seasons. And then we have the Europa League Championship on Wednesday, the final. The Champions League coming up. I have almost finished the guide. I'm just putting it together, the World Cup betting guide. It is, looking down at it, it's about 25 pages with some tips on how to bet the World Cup and a breakdown of every single group. You guys are going to love it. It's going to be available at Wager Talk, and you can get it for free. There was talk about, because there's so much in it, of making it a package that you can purchase. And I said, I want it free for people to download for free. And Wager Talk agreed with me. So I'm good with that. You guys will be able to get it later on this week as well, too. So that's it for me. I'll probably have one NHL play up for tonight. It'll likely just be a client play, but grab today's afternoon play. And that's it for me, Andrew. I'm looking forward to tonight's game. Regardless of how it ends, one of us will be texting the other at the end of the game, or appearing on the X with some kind of weird graphic or what have you. But that's it, guys. Do us a favor, hit that like button if you haven't already done so. And if you haven't done so, we're at 248, a little over 248,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. We want to get to 250 as the next goal. Hit that subscribe button, join the ever-growing community, or at least share the page with some of your friends and ask them to subscribe to the channel. We could use as many as you. Drop a comment in the comment section and let us know who you're playing tonight, whether it's a play, a prop, a side, or a total. We want to hear from you guys. For myself and Andrew, we will be back on, I guess, Wednesday for Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Andrew, I wish you the best of luck with your 5% play, man. Knock it out of the ballpark. The rest of you guys, have a great night tonight.